topic of today's discussion is how to design the activation circuit for LPC2148 microcontroller. There are 5 important steps to activate the LPC2148 microcontroller. The first one is power, the second one is oscillator, the third one is reset circuit, fourth one is firmware locator. Firmware locator is not necessary for LPC2148 because it doesn't have ROM-less version, and firmware is of course the last part which would make the microcontroller intelligent. Now, with regard to the pin details, pin number 51, 43 and 23 are concerned with providing the power supply for microcontroller. So we are expected to connect 3.3 volt DC for these pins, and pin number 50, 42, 25, 18 and 6 are the ground lines. So we are supposed to connect 0 volt there, or ground pin there. 61 and 62 are the pins that are concerned with main crystal, and this is main crystal, and pin number 3 and 5 are concerned with the RTC crystal, and then 57 is my active low reset, and 41st pin is reserved for ISP pin. Now these are the pins that we need to deal when we are designing the activation circuit, and we would make use of the Proteus platform in order to design the activation. Go to file, click. This is the Proteus platform that we would be using for designing our LPC2148 circuits. Not only that, this particular platform can be used for a variety of microcontrollers, including 8051, PIC, and other families. So go to file, click a new project. So the first and foremost is you give a name for this particular project. So I'm just giving the name as LPC2148. Then choose a location for that. So I just put it in the desktop for city. So I give the name as LPC2148 and save it inside the desktop. And click next. It is asking whether you are planning to design a schematic. Yes, we are. Choose a default template. Clicks next. And it is asking whether you want to design a PCB. We are not going to design a PCB, so leave it as it is. The next step is it is asking whether you are going to design a firmware. We are going to design a firmware, and the moment you choose create firmware project, it will ask you to choose which family of microcontroller for which you are going to design the firmware. So I am choosing ARM7 family. Within ARM7 family, you have a lot of derivatives. We are choosing LPC2148. LPC2148 is not available here, but LPC2138 is available. 38 is pin-to-pin compatible with 48, so we take LPC2138. Click next, and then you finish it. So the moment you complete it, it is offering you the source code window for LPC2148. Let us delete it. So let us delete the default circuitry offered by the platform. Let us start with the fresh IC. So this is my 64-pin QFP package microcontroller LPC2148. If you see this particular microcontroller, it is a custom that we design all our activation circuit in the left-hand side part and put our application circuit in the right-hand side. So all the GPIO are available in the right-hand side, which you would be making use of whenever we are designing projects. And the left-hand side is used for activating this particular microcontroller. So that is what we are going to see now. So let us first start with the power circuit. So the important power pins are 51, 43 and 23. These are the 3 pins that are concerned with power. Additionally, you are also having power lines for analog and battery, so you can still make use of that. So let me take the power. So this is my power line. So let me first connect the power line to 23 and then 43 and 51. Optionally, you can also connect the analog part of power supply to the same power supply voltage. And it is very important that you have to assign the power supply value. So we are giving plus 3.3 volts. So that is very important. So that defines the power supply voltage of the microcontroller. So that is regarding power. And the 5 ground lines that we needed to connect are pin number 50. 50 is connected to ground, 42, 25, 18 and 6. Maybe I would extend this ground line a bit over, and then you connect pin number 6. Optionally, you can also connect the analog ground also to the ground. So this completes my power part. So designing a power circuit is pretty straightforward, and I'm just show you the power circuit that we designed for 8051 microcontroller. This is the power chain that we used. So we started with the secondary of the transformer. Followed by that, we have a bridge rectifier. Followed by that, we have a shunt capacitor filter. I have just included a switch here to demonstrate the use of this shunt capacitor filter. Followed by that, you have a 7812 voltage regulator, which would give you 12 volt. Followed by that, you have 7805. This would give you 5 volt output. And eventually, you have a power LED at the output of the chain to intimate the presence of power. So having a power LED in the power circuit is always beneficial because it is a straightforward way of understanding whether the board is powered or not. In addition to this, we need to cascade a LM1117 3.3 volt regulator. So I just run this. So you can see that without the the filter circuit included in the circuit chain here, I have not connected the filter here. I have opened the switch here. So the full way rectified output that is coming out of the bridge rectifier is what is available at this point. This is the oscilloscope output. So the moment I connect the shunt capacitor filter, you can see that the ripples are smoothened out and it almost gives you a constant straight line. And that is the job of this shunt capacitor filter. This shunt capacitor filter eventually smoothens the ripples that are coming out of this full wave rectifier, and it converts into a near DC. Near DC means almost a perfect DC. Followed by this shunt capacitor filter, you have 7812. The job of 7812 is to give you 12 volt output. So I have given a connection from this particular point to the voltmeter. So the voltmeter reads plus 12 volt. That is the output given by this voltage regulator 7812. Followed by 7812, you have 7805. 7805 is capable of giving you 5 volt DC, which I would connect it here. So that would give you 5 volt DC. So this power indicator is a visual indication for the power presence of power. You need to cascade a LM1117 regulator in order to achieve 3.3 volt output for your LPC2148, which is pretty straightforward. Now that is concerned with the power. The second one comes the crystal part. So we have two crystals here, crystal 1 and 2 for 61 and 62 concerned with the main crystal that powers the main oscillator. RTC crystals are available at pin number 3 and 5. So let us go to the crystal circuit and design that first. So let us take a crystal and then press OK. So this is my crystal circuit. You fix the frequency of the crystal to be at 12 megahertz. That is the main frequency, crystal frequency that we are going to use. In addition to that, we are also going to have a capacitor here. Okay. So the way in which it is connected is they are shunted across the two crystal pins. The crystal is straight away connected across the two crystal pins, and we can connect these two together, ground the common. The value of that is 33 picofarad. These load capacitor values are available in the datasheet. You can always observe that. This user manual contains the entire technical specifications and the complete details about LPC2148 microcontroller. You can completely understand the entire specifications of this particular device in this manual. If you see this particular device, for what value of oscillator frequency, what is the value of capacitance that we have to connect is listed here. So for any frequency between 10 megahertz to 15 megahertz, you can connect anywhere between 10 picofarad to 30 picofarad. So we are using 33 picofarad for our scenario. That's the standard value of the capacitance. So that is regarding the main crystal. Coming back to the RTC crystal, so I'll just select this block. There is one icon here that is called a block copy. So I just copy this entire block and then keep it down. So instead of redesigning that circuit, I can use block copy command. And instead of connecting this to main crystal, we are connecting this to RTC crystal. That is the only difference. And this is 22 picofarad. The value of the crystal is 32.768 kilohertz. So that completes my crystal part. So as far as the crystal is concerned, the only thing that we have to worry about is the frequency value of the crystal that we use, because this frequency is the one which decides the frequency of the oscillator output generated by the microcontroller. So the value of frequency, if it is the value of the crystal frequency, if it is higher, then normally the oscillator output also would be a higher value. In this case, we are using 12 megahertz. Having said that, we can always increase the value of that frequency of the oscillator output by using a PLL, which is a phase lock loop, which we will be discussing in future classes. So this is pertaining to the oscillator part. The third one is the reset circuit. Pin number 57 is connected with reset. You can see a bar on top of that. This bar tells me that this is an active low reset. Active low reset means in order to reset this particular microcontroller, I have to connect this particular pin to 0. In order to make the microcontroller to execute the user code, we have to connect that to power supply. So first, let us go to the construction of reset circuit. So let me first take the power line. Always make sure that this power line is operating at 3.3 volt, because the standard value of that is 5 volt, which you have to change. So this is my power, and then you take a pull-up resistor. So I connect a resistor network. I also take a capacitor, connect that in series, connect the other end of the capacitor to ground. So we should have the switch across the capacitor. So take a push button. So very first thing is your push button. Take this push button and connect this push button across the switch. Then the output of this is connected to my reset pin. So this is my reset pin. This reset pin is connected to output of this. You can typically connect 100 nanofarad. Now, the way in which this reset circuit works is, under normal cases, this pin is pulled up by this pull-up resistor to 3.3 volt. Whenever you are pressing this button, at this point, this particular point is short circuited to ground. Therefore, the circuit goes to reset. And the moment, and it remains in reset as long as you hold it. The moment you release it, the microcontroller again come out of reset. Maybe you can just test it by using a voltmeter. I take a DC voltmeter and connect one end of the voltmeter to the reset point. The other end of the voltmeter I connected to ground. Okay, so now you can see that once I run the simulation, the voltage of this is at 3.3 volt. So when this pin is at 3.3 volt, the microcontroller normally executes the user code. The moment I press this button, you can see that the voltage is going at 0 volt. So the moment I press the button, the voltage goes to 0 volt, which means this is the point where the microcontroller enters into reset. Active low reset means whenever the reset pin goes to ground, or whenever it is connected to 0 volt, the microcontroller enters into reset, and it remains in reset as long as I hold it. The moment I release the button, the pull-up network will make that pin to high. So at that point, the microcontroller comes out of reset and starts executing the user code. So by virtue of pressing this button, the microcontroller can be forced to reset in the middle of an operation. And this capacitor will delay the time period from 0 volt to logic 1, so that the microcontroller has ample time to complete the reset operation. So that is the physics behind the operation. So that is my reset circuit. And the firmware location part and the ISP circuit is not mentioned here. So it is not necessary also. When we design the actual hardware, at that time we worry about that. So I remove this. Okay. So this is basically the activation circuit for LPC2148. The first one is power. The second one is the crystal hardware, and the third one is the reset circuit. Firmware location is not necessary because this particular microcontroller always available with 100% on-chip ROM. And finally, developing the firmware part. Before we develop the firmware part for this particular microcontroller, let us spend some time in understanding the GPIO lines that are available in the right-hand side of this particular microcontroller. So let me start zooming this from the topmost pin. So you have port 0.0 here, / transmit data 0 / pulse width modulation 1. So pin number 19 here, this is the actual pin number of the IC. This is the port designation. So pin number 19 is assigned to port 0.0, and this particular pin has 3 functionalities. Port 0.0 is a default function. Additionally, it also performs the transmit for U.0. Additionally, it delivers pulse width modulation channel 1. Okay. If you take the case of pin number 21, pin number 21 is the next pin. Pin number 21, if you see, it has 4 functions. So at the maximum LPC2148, any pin can perform a maximum of 4 functionalities. By default, parallel port or GPIO is the default operation. So pin number 21 is associated with port 0.1. Additionally, it performs the receive data for UART0. Additionally, it also performs pulse width modulation channel 3. Additionally, it also acts as external interrupt 0. So these are the 4 different functionalities done by pin number 21. So we can choose which of these 4 we wanted to use other than the default one. The default one is the default function done by that particular pin. If you want to perform port 0.1, you don't have to do anything because that is a default job. Apart from that default job, if you want to make this particular pin to either function as receive data or as pulse width modulation 3 or as external interrupt 0, you have to do certain configurations and tell the microcontroller that I want to use this function or this function or this function, so that the microcontroller knows that you are trying to use an alternate function other than GPIO. So this is the general theory that you have to understand. Any pin in microcontroller LPC2148 is normally associated with multiple functionalities. What we are focusing now today is the GPIO functionality, which is the default functionality of all the pins. So let me start with topmost port 0.0, port 0.1, port 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. If you see that port 0.23 is available, after that port 0.25 is available. Port 0.24 is not shown in the pin diagram itself, which means port 0.24 is reserved for a special function. Okay, that is why it is not available. So port 0.24 we cannot use for GPIO. Similarly, after that we have port 0.25, we have port 0.26 and 27. Though they are reflected here, these 2 pins also cannot be used for GPIO. So there are 3 pins which we cannot use for GPIO in port 0, which is port 0.24, which is not even shown here. The other one is port 0.26 and 27. These 3 pins are reserved for special functions. And 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. So totally out of 32 bits, you can assume port 0 as a 32-bit register because this is a 32-bit SFR. Normally, the size of the registers inside any microcontroller is dependent on the word length, the number of bits that it can process at a given point in time. So LPC2148 is a 32-bit processor, meaning most registers or special function registers inside LPC2148 are 32 bits long. So if you assume port 0 as a 32-bit register, out of the 32 bits, port 0.24, 26 and 27 are reserved. Rest, so 32 minus of 3, 29 are available for use. Coming back to port 1. Port 1 actually starts from 16. Okay, so port 1.0 to 1.15 is not available. So the first 16 bits of port 1 is not available to use. So port 1.16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. That means the topmost 16 bits are available to use in port 1. The bottom 16 are not available. So if you do some analysis on the availability of GPIO pins in LPC2148, GPIO pins, you know what exactly the need for GPIO in a microcontroller. GPIO is the place where we connect all the external peripherals to the microcontroller. So we connect all the external peripherals like LCD, motors, switches, relays. So all those external peripherals we connect using GPIO. So GPIO is essentially the parallel port of the microcontroller. In LPC2148, we have 2 parallel ports, port 0 and port 1. Port 0 and port 1. In port 0, out of the 32 bits, which is port 0.0 to 0.31. So any parallel port starts with 0. So it starts with port 0.0, that is this bit, the very first bit, and it ends at port 0.31, which is this bit, port 0.31. So you can assume port 0 as a 32-bit register. So of these 32-bit register, 3 pins are not available. What are the 3 pins which are not available? Port 0.24, this fellow is not available. Port 0.26, this fellow is not available. Port 0.27, this is also not available. Okay, so out of the total 32, we are not having 3. So if you don't have 3, The remaining 29 pins can be used for GPIO operation. So in port 0, even though theoretically we have 32, we have only 29 to use. Rest 3 pins are not used. Which are the 3 pins which are not used? Port 0.24, port 0.26, and port 0.27. So these are the 3 pins which are not used. This is for port 0. For port 1, interestingly, port 1 starts from port 1.16 to 1.31. Okay, that means the bottommost 16 pins starting from P1.0 to P1.15, these 16 pins are totally not available. It starts from P1.16 and it ends at P1.31. So which means out of the 32 bits, we have only 16 available, which means rest 16 are not available, which means only 16 are available for us to use. Rest 16 are not available. So if you consider in total, port 0 contributes for 29 pins because we lose 3 pins there. Port 1 contributes for 16 pins. We lose 16 pins here. So totally 29 plus 16 if we add, in total 45 GPIO lines are available. What does it mean? Port 0 offers 29 pins. Port 1 offer 16 pins. If you add these two, in total you have 45 GPIO lines. Out of these 45 GPIO lines, 44 are bidirectional in nature. Of the total 45 available, 44 pins are bidirectional. That means they can both accept as well as deliver data. Bidirectional means it can operate in 2 directions. It can receive data as an input. It can also deliver data to an outside device as an output. That is bidirectional. Only one pin acts as output only pin. It can only deliver data, but it cannot accept data. So which pin is that? That is port 0.31. Okay, port 0.31 is the last bit of port 0. So this fellow, the topmost I'm talking. This fellow is output only. Okay, output only means what? It can only deliver data, but it cannot accept. So what is the essence of GPIO? The essence of GPIO is port 0 contributes for, let me take port wise. Port 0 contributes for 29 pins. Port 1 contributes for 16 pins, totally 45. Out of this 45, 44 are bidirectional in nature, meaning they can transfer data in 2 directions. Only one pin is output only pin. Output only means it can only deliver data in 1 direction. That is, it can deliver data to an outside device, but it cannot accept. So which pin is that? The 31st pin of port 0, which is port 0.31. Rest all pins are bidirectional in nature. So in a nutshell, in port 0, out of 29, 28 are bidirectional, 1 is output only, and port 1, all 16 are bidirectional. So if you add these two, 44 are bidirectional, 1 is output only. So totally giving us 45 GPIO lines. These 45 GPIO lines are what we are going to use for connecting external peripheral devices and build interesting applications around LPC2148. Now, this defines the GPIO pins available in LPC2148. So it is not necessary for you to mind map all this stuff. It is not possible also. This is given just for your understanding. So if you assume the LPC2148 pin layout, top left starts with 1 and it ends at 16 here. It starts with 17 and it ends at 32 here. And it again starts at 33, ends at 48 here. And it starts at 49 and it ends at 64. So this is how we should read the pin layout. All the pins that are marked in this yellow color are port 0. All the ones that are marked in blue color are port 1. So this is a port 0. This is a port 1 pin. So pin number 1, how should you read? All the designation that are internal to the IC are pin numbers. The ones that are reflected in the outside are the port number, which means pin number 1 is port 0.21. Pin number 2 is port 0.22. They don't actually follow a common sequence, just like we do in 8051 microcontroller. In 8051 microcontroller, all the ports are arranged in order, starting from 0 to 7. But here they are available in jumbled format. For example, in pin number 1, you have 21, 22, and port 0.0 is available somewhere in the 19th pin. So this is where is the port 0.0 is available. So they are available in jumbled format. So in that scenario, it is highly impossible for you to remember which pin is available where. So we need to refer the data sheet every time. But then you need to understand that there are totally 45 of these lines which we make use of for connecting external peripheral devices. So this is the consolidated activation circuit. So we saw what is power, we saw what is main oscillator, we saw what is RTC oscillator, we also saw what is reset circuit, and we saw there are totally 45 GPIO lines available, out of which 44 are bidirectional and one pin is output only. Out of this 45, 29 is contributed by port 0, 16 is contributed by port 1. So in the next class, we will see how to make use of these GPIO lines for designing interesting applications and start the firmware development part of that. Okay. So I stop here today.